And as promised on our phone line, we're very pleased to welcome the newly elected, just a few weekends ago, chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party, commonly called the NCGOP. Welcome to Talk of the Town, Chairman Hasan Harnett. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show.
No, thank you for doing it. I know it's been very busy for you in the transition, and I know you haven't done a lot of these as of yet, and I'm really thrilled that you chose to make us one of your first. First of all, let's start on a little bit of a personal note. Tell us what it was like. I was there at the convention, and it was very interesting. I was there not as a delegate, was working for a candidate for state attorney general, and but I was watching what was going on. I was there at 7 a.m. on Friday morning. I knew immediately the strength that you had. I could see the supporters. They were outside on the street. They were in the building. You could just feel the energy. And I went into, even though I wasn't a delegate, I snuck in a side door, and I went in and I saw the speeches. When your speech was done, if I read you right, you knew you had it. I mean, you could just see. You knew you had delivered the speech. You could feel the energy in the building, and you were actually a little emotional when you walked out the door. Tell me a little bit about that moment. And am I correct? Did you feel like that you had it right after you got that roaring response to your speech?
Well, first and foremost, you snuck through the side door? Wow. That's amazing. Well, I would tell you that once I gave my speech, and my speech was preceded by a drum line, and one of the things that I did not know and recognize by the delegates was that these conventions can be boring and tiresome. And so bringing some fun energy to the convention was one of my goals and objectives. And in doing so, once I got to the stage and the drumline did their thing, their energy level was super high. And I was able to get into my speech and one of the things that I believe in is you don't go to the podium to speak at a code microphone. You want the microphone to be blazing hot. And so that's what the drumline did. And after I gave my speech, I wouldn't say that I knew that I won, but I would tell you that I left everything on the stage. And so when I came off the stage, I literally busted out in tears because of a release of positive energy that I left for everyone to receive.
Yeah, and literally you did. I was at the door, you walked out. I mean, you walked right by me, and wow. I could see your eyes welling up, and I was like, boy, it was a powerful moment. And I want people to understand, the NCGOP convention, I've been a delegate before. You don't go in there and say, I'm going to vote for the person who has the best speech. You know the candidates, you know what they stand for, but I think what it may have provided for you was you could feel the energy in the room, and there was a difference between the candidates who spoke and you, and that's what I was referring to. Let's talk a little bit about the aftermath. There's been a lot in the news. I was on a program last week in Raleigh where they were asking me this question. Seems to be a lot of folks are trying to say that your selection as NCGOP chairman was a message to the establishment, a mandate for you, whatever. I mean, what type of message do you think, if any, your election to chairman sent?
Well, the message is loud and clear that the Republican Party is looking forward to doing the right things long enough consistently and having the right attitude and message. And, my election was an act of positive faith by the delegates because they realized that they wanted someone who can get the job done, but also relate to their concerns and be able to represent all Republicans, not any particular Republican, but for all Republicans.
Now, in the aftermath, it's no secret there was actually 3 people that were nominated for the election. One of the candidates had the endorsement of the governor, our senators, House members, all sorts of folks, a long list of what some people would call the establishment endorsements. Obviously, the endorsements didn't work. What has been the reception from those? Have they reached out to you and said, hey, it's over. You're our chairman now, and we're ready to move forward.
Yeah, one of the things that you described in that convention, in the room itself, was that there was a lot of positive energy and the excitement, and that has transcended everywhere I've been, speaking with the House and Senate caucuses, and speaking with donors and individuals who are representatives in their local communities, as well as everyday Republicans. And one of the strongest gestures that I can remember is my opponent walked up to the microphone and said, by acclamation, Hasan Harnett is the chairman. And that right there was the item that sealed the deal, if you will. And ultimately, everyone is very supportive, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I'm looking forward to working with all Republicans.
We're speaking with Hasan Harnett. He is the recently elected chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. And Chairman Harnett, I guess it was the Monday or Tuesday after the convention, I was on this program as a guest with Henry Hinton, and he was asking me about it since I was there. And I mentioned a couple things that I think are telling right now. We're about 6 or 7 minutes into this interview. I haven't mentioned what was the lead in all the newspapers the following day. You are the first African-American chairman of the NCGOP. The reason I didn't lead with that was I was there the entire weekend, and race was never mentioned. There was a lot of talk about three candidates, what they stood for, what type of leader they would be with the NCGOP, and it wasn't about well, he's an African-American. It wasn't, well, maybe we can reach out and get more black voters if we have a black chairman, or will this be a problem? It was just about people and what they stood for. And I really found that as I was proud to be a Republican when I stood there and realized that although that may have been the initial obsession with the press, that wasn't the obsession there the weekend. Was that the feedback that you got as well?
Absolutely. And when I look back to my experiences that led me to this point, I grew up poor in New England, and my mom taught me three things. She taught me to keep God first, work hard, work smarter, and the last thing was to turn your dreams into reality. And so I've taken that mantra everywhere I've gone. In my track days, I came in as a transfer. I was ranked number 6 in the state for the 1 mile run. And lo and behold, I became the state champion because of that mantra: keep God first, work hard, work smarter, and turn your dreams into reality. And then here it is going into the business world. I got my degree in biochemistry, I went to Dartmouth College and got into business and worked my way up J.P. Morgan Chase and became the second most powerful person in the organization in Boston. And there I was able to work hard, work smarter, and turn that dream into a reality. And you fast forward to business, same thing. I've done that. Today I run my own business, and you fast forward to the state convention. I transferred from just being an everyday grassroots person into being now the state chairman. And this is the first time in the history of North Carolina politics that a black chairman has been elected since 1867. So it is a big deal, and I think the ripple effect is just that. It's a big deal, and we are excited. Grassroots are excited, as well as our representatives in all levels of politics.
Now, let me ask you, as I said, in the aftermath, the two things that was most heard, mainstream media was first African-American chairman. The kind of the insider, the political blogs and all this is they were comparing it to something that happened with the Democrats in North Carolina a few years ago when they elected a state chairman who was not the quote-unquote establishment candidate. And in the aftermath of that, the money that was normally raised through their state party, they kind of went around the party. So there's been a lot of chatter about, well, he's not going to be able to, he's going to be handicapped in raising money because the establishment didn't support him. They're going to go around him. I mean, what are you going to tell folks who said, we elected you to be the chairman, to be the voice of the state party, but we have concerns that you're not going to be able to do that job because some of the folks that have traditionally supported the party with their talents and their money are going to go around it. I mean, what are you trying to do to reassure folks that that's not going to be the case?
Well, the reality is that those are just rumors. The second thing is I've already spent quality time speaking with the powers that be, and they have full confidence and an assurance that I'm their leader and we're working together as a team. And the third thing is the feelings are mutual. So we are in a situation where things are moving forward and everyone's excited to get to the next level.
We're talking with NCGOP Chairman Hasan Harnett. And Chairman Harnett, I met you a few times briefly out on at district conventions. I know that although people were talking to you about your campaign and your vision, you also heard what I always hear when I go out to Republican meetings, that people, at least the circles I travel in, are the conservative wing of the party. They say that they get upset when they see, from Washington on down, when they see people selling out on what they consider to be the party platform. I think it's safe to say that your core group that initially supported you were strong conservatives. It was refreshing at the party that so many people from so many other backgrounds politically got behind you as well. But, I mean, how are you going to tackle that? Because make no mistake, factions isn't a bad word. It just means that there's people with a little bit of different ideology within the party. There are two factions in the party. There's more of a moderate faction and more of a conservative faction. How are you going to bring that together and make sure everybody's singing from the same songbook for the ultimate goal of getting Republicans elected?
Well, the answer comes down to leadership. And so that's an area that I've specialized in, is setting the right precedent for communicating and for sharing ideas and to put those ideas into action. It's about having a vision. And so I'm happy for disagreements whenever they take place, because there's always going to be some form of disagreement. We are a big party. We have a big tent. So we are also the majority party. And, under the Republican tent, here's one thing that we have to realize, that North Carolina is moving in the right direction. Under the Democrats, there has been more corruption, bigger government, more debt, and higher taxes. And so the opposite is happening today because of Republican leadership. And again, leadership is the key for making sure that we are doing the right things long enough consistently and having the right attitude.
You mentioned leadership. The leadership in the Senate, Phil Berger, leadership in the House, Tim Moore, leadership in the governor's office, Pat McCrory, they all had their vision when they took over. A lot of people refer to it as the first 100 days. That's where you kind of make your stand. What can we expect in these first 100 days? And that's not a hard deadline, but in your initial days and months as chairman, what are you really going to focus on to make sure that your style of leadership is put on the NCGOP?
Well, it comes down to confidence, and restoring confidence throughout the party, and then B, raising that confidence level to a whole new level. And so in the next 100 days, it is about having those conversations, whether it's over the phone, one-on-one meetings, and or being on media and sharing a message that will resonate with all those who are listening. And so I look forward to talking with more representatives and those individuals who are looking to run for office. I look forward to being in the community where there are unaffiliated voters who are interested in learning more about the platform, the party, the people, and what we represent. I look forward to those conversations at colleges and universities who are excited to gain a breath of fresh air perspective. I look forward to those businesses and even churches, those environments where people are conservative and making great decisions for their family and household, and now there's a leader who can represent and speak with them. This is about a personal touch. This is not about being an outsider. So these are real conversations, real people, and real communities that we're impacting, and I'm looking forward to leading that charge.
Well, Chairman, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on with us this morning. Of course, I'm sitting in for Henry, and I hope in the weeks and months to come, maybe you'll come back on with Henry, because I know he would love to have you and find out how that progress is going. But I know it's a busy time for you. And once again, thanks for making time for us here on Talk of the Town, and best of luck as you move forward.
And I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be on the Talk of the Town. I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. Chairman Hasan Harnett from the NCGOP.